I reckon it's about time that I gave you some sort of an update. G'day everybody and welcome back. Yes, I've had a busy couple of weeks, so I guess best laid plans of mice and men and all of that kind of thing, with work and family and everything else that gets in the way of doing these types of jobs when it's not your full-time job. All that aside, so the last episode we got to meet Bill, and what a great response. Everybody, was impressed with his humility and everything else, as was I. The guy is very, very thankful. And Ollie, Richard, if you're watching, he was sorry that he really wanted to say thank you for allowing us to use your milling machine and lathe to do the carburetor post repair, and he forgot to say that, so Bill just wanted me to say that to you, Ollie, so a bit of a shout out. So where are we at? If you remember, I said I wanted to take this for a ride, which meant I had to get the back brake going. So today's plan, it's Mother's Day and it's already late in the afternoon, but today's plan was to pull the brakes apart on the back and get them to function. But surprise, surprise, they work. They're fine. They had a bit of crappy fluid in there, so I just did a quick bleed, and they're functioning. So that's makes life a bit easier. I got to put some air in the tyre. All the air's gone to the top, so it's flat on the bottom, and the tyre's a bit sketchy. But so that'll be the next part, I guess, is to get it on the road and try and see how we go with that engine and the smoke issue. I think gut feel is that we're going to be pulling the motor apart. We can now keep progressing with this bike now that I've got my work trip to Adelaide out of the way. I'm back on deck. Geez, we've had a busy year in the wine industry. Just to put it in perspective, last year the vintage ran for 3 months and we processed about 700 tonne of grapes. This year we processed 1,000 tonne of grapes in 1 month. So everything was ready to be picked at the same time, and that's the thing about seasonal industry like the wine industry, where you're relying on the weather gods to smile down on the vineyards, and that everybody can bring you their grapes at a steady pace instead of all being at one bloody time. But anyway, we got smashed. There was a lot of long hours. The guys were absolutely awesome working through that. But it's just been another case for me of being extremely busy and not having the time to commit to these sorts of jobs. Okay, so where are we at with other channel stuff? So my bikes, because this has been on the lift, occupying the lift now for some time, my bikes have been neglected a little bit. So the CB450, the Speedo completely shat itself. Internally, it was completely flogged out. I disassembled the speedometer in the hope that I could maybe rescue it, but it's just too far gone. It's where the cable drive spins on the magnet, it's just completely flogged out. So that's why it was bouncing up and down like that. I've gone and ordered another speedometer. It's on its way. I could only get hold of a mile-an-hour one because that's, I guess, what's predominantly available out there. I believe you can just put the kilometre an hour face on it, and the ratios are the same, and it will match. It's a 130 mile an hour speedo and 200 kilometre an hour speedo, so that will work. But of course, then the odometer and the trip meter will be in miles. I'm just going to leave the whole thing in miles. I don't have to open it up then and maybe introduce another issue. Speaking of introduced issues, the Z1300, it's a 1502 Dji Spark. If you were following that at all, where I put a new water pump mechanical seal and oil seal in that bike, we probably, just by disturbing it, created an issue because one of the ignition pulse coils died. essentially it lost 2 cylinders, and that was what was causing me the problem. Dutchy's sorted that out now, and the bike is running strong. So, and he's told me that there's absolutely no issues with the mechanical seal or the oil seal job that I did on the bike, and there's no leaking fluid, there's no oil crossover, and so happy about that. I was a bit concerned that I had done something stupid, but as it turns out, I didn't.
As you can see, Max is back. There's a few people I'd like to thank. Firstly, Lars and Evan for diagnosing part of the problem. Also, Andy for his help in replacing the water impeller seal and mounting the spotties on it, and a few other little things. As you can hear, he's idling perfectly and in high revs, performing absolutely beautiful.
XS 1100 started running rough on me. Just one day I was out on a ride and I was coming home, as though a couple of weeks ago, and it just didn't feel right, and I thought, it's not firing on all 4, and I got it home and thought that I had a vacuum leak. So my initial thoughts was I've either popped off the one of those little plug caps on the manifolds that go on here, where you plug the carburetor synchronization gauges. But a little bit closer inspection revealed that. So they're FUBAR, and I've got another set coming out of JA Pan. So once that set gets here, I'll button that bike up and get it running again. Old bikes. And speaking of which, I know that you know that I like watching Matt over at the workshop. Matt's got his hands on a holy grail engine. He's got an RG500 4-cylinder 2-stroke. Absolutely amazing engine. And he's just started the process of stripping that engine down now, so I'll be watching that with great interest, because it's such a cool motor. And anyone else that might be interested in that, shoot over to Matt's channel. There'll be a link in the gobbly-goo and probably up in the corner. Go and have a look at the teardown. He's just started the teardown now, and he's starting to realise old bikes, Matt, old bikes. I mean, you're carrying on. There was 3 socket-headed cap screws as part of the cylinder head fasteners that ran along the front of where the power valves mount on the top of the motor. And at some stage, someone's either over-tightened them and stripped them, or lost the bolts, and they've put in 4 what looked like quarter Whitworth socket-head cap screws, and they were too long, and they had to shim them with washers, and he's carrying on about it. Matt, that's old bikes. That engine is over 30 years old, and somewhere along the line, someone is going to have gone in there and got into it with the passion fingers, and that's the result.
So yeah, you stick these in and then you turn. Then when you get to these, I like to hammer these in, because even then they don't fit. Why? Well, because these are Imperial, and then all of a sudden, because I was doing it from the top, I didn't realise, oh, these washers. Jesus Christ. So as you can see, there's a stack there of, like, how many is there? 2, 4, 6, 7. 7 washers. Oh, you see? Yeah, these don't match up at all. These don't match up at all. Right, they don't lock together. So that means that someone's forced in fucking morons. I'd get my thread gauge out, but I'm too pissed off. So some dickhead has not only got the wrong length, but he's had to space it out because he's forced. I bet that's the thread. Right, we'll have to put a healer coil in that.
But yeah, don't whinge about it, mate. Just get on with it and deal with it as you see fit. They may not have had access to helicoils. The 1/4 inch may have been all they could grab at the time. They probably just ran a 1/4 inch tap through the M6 metric threads. Got them back on the road. So yeah, you will find that with old bikes all the time, where those who've been before you have created an issue in the hope that they were resolving an issue. But anyway, I'm going to be enjoying that. So that's about it. We've got the sun out today for the first time in a little while. We had horrendous weather here in Hobart. We had 128 millimetres of rain in 21 hours, and poor old Hobart City. This is the second driest capital in Australia outside of Adelaide. And we're just not used to that kind of deluge, and the systems and the infrastructure isn't designed to cope with that kind of deluge. So we had cars floating down Macquarie Street in Hobart, and Sandy Bay was underwater, and they had water flooding in basements and taking out generators and switchboards, etc., in the city. So yeah, we've had a few hectic days, and now the weather, thankfully, that cold front has passed, and the rain has gone with it up to New South Wales at the moment, I think. But yeah, so got all that behind us. We'll get back onto the GS. I want to thank you for all your support, and for everyone that's been following the project and helping with PayPal and with Patreon. Anyone who's bought a t-shirt, etc. Thank you very much. I'm going to sign off. Stay tuned. We will be back, and I'll catch you next time on Andy's Motorcycle Obsessions. Bye for now.